You got a gun, got a big gun, got a gun, it's not a real one, and all you ever think about is running away, all you ever think about is trying to stay away from me.
And welcome back to another episode of the LoudMouth MMA podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. This week, we have another episode of MMA Yesterday. We have arrived to UFC 13, the debut of Randy Couture.
Ultimate Force.
I have to say, that's my least favorite.
Really?
I mean, is there anything that's worse than this? I mean, I would say like the Brawl in Buffalo is rather unoriginal, but
it's still better.
But it's still better than Ultimate Force. And even when they were doing the introduction, and it was Beck that was doing, you know, he always does those little...
How about Return of the
pre-shows?
Beast?
Well, first of all, they do the tourism ad for Augusta.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
We had another one of those.
They have a tourism ad for Augusta. And then he goes, today they walk into the octagon with the Ultimate Force. Like, what? It didn't even sound right.
It reminded me of that scene from Family Guy where Peter's making fun of movies where they say the title in the movie.
Right?
He's like, oh, he said it.
He said it. It's like Superman 3, the Return of the whatever. He's like, there it is. Okay, so UFC 12 was Judgment Day. UFC 11 was the Proving Ground. UFC 10 was the tournament. See, again, unoriginal, but it's better than Ultimate Force.
It's still better.
UFC 9, Motor City Madness. UFC 8, David vs. Goliath. UFC 7, The Brawl in Buffalo. UFC 6, Clash of the Titans. UFC 5, Return of the Beast. UFC 4, Revenge of the Warriors. UFC 3, The American Dream. UFC 2, No Way Out. And UFC 1, The Beginning.
It's either good.
Ultimate Force is the worst. Return of the Beast was kind of goofy because we weren't even really 100% sure what it was referring to.
The only other one I think that can compete is the Revenge one.
Yeah, because it also was kind of goofy because it was like, who's taking revenge?
Nobody.
Nobody has revenge here. What does that even mean?
It's like a card full of new people from the whole last event.
Wasn't it? Like, wasn't it one of those cards? It was like all new people.
It was like one competitor we knew.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know, man. This is pretty bad though. The Ultimate Force. I'm going to say that's number one. Number one bullshit for right now is Ultimate Force. Not a fan.
Take it easy, Calabib.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of that name.
Bob de Golf.
So this took place in Augusta, Georgia, as mentioned, on May 30th, 1997. It would be followed up with UFC 14, just simply called Showdown. So we'll take a look ahead to that card once we get to the end.
I'm excited.
Some big debuts here.
Big debuts.
Two guys who are in the UFC Hall of Fame, and Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz.
Tito Ortiz fighting for free.
Tito Ortiz coming in as an alternate.
Fighting for free, coming in as an alternate and wrecking shit.
See, that's an interesting little kind of piece of UFC trivia.
Yeah.
Tito Ortiz's first fight in the UFC was him coming in as an alternate in the finals.
I did not know that. I've been a fan for years. I did not know that.
So you've been a fan obviously a lot longer than I have.
Still
Definitely did not know that.
Yeah.
And he looked good. He looked good too.
Really
he didn't
good.
win, spoiler, didn't win. We'll get to that.
He won some fights at least.
He won his alternate bout.
And then his first fight on the main card, I think.
Well, no, because he didn't have any fights on the main. What they did is on the pay-per-view, because they had some time, they went ahead and showed his alternate bout.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah, okay.
So because they showed his alternate bout and because it was on the main pay-per-view then, it winds up being the shortest fight on the card.
Yeah.
Because without that, the shortest fight on the card would have been Vitor Tank, which...
Our main event.
Wow. If you would have... Again, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of watching this in real time. Be honest with yourself. Was there any way you're thinking Vitor Belfort was going to look the way he did against Tank Abbott?
Oh, I 100% thought that was what was going to happen.
You really did?
Oh, yeah.
I would not have thought that. I'd have just been like, Tank is way too fucking big.
He's too slow. He's just so slow compared to Vitor. Vitor was lightning.
To be fair, literally everybody we have ever seen, to include now, there's nobody now that's in the 185, 205 heavyweight range. That's as fast as Vitor looks.
He's still
in these early UFC shit. Can you name anybody that looks that fast?
I mean, I don't know. I can think of slick guys. I can think of quick guys. But in terms of just like hand
just
speed,
raw speed. I mean, he
it's
literally
ridiculous.
was like, and it was nuts.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense, but I don't know, man. I just feel like if I was watching these fights, I would have been a guy who was on Tank over everybody. Even with him losing, I think I would have always been on Tank.
He lost to
Because
Oleg,
he was just
though, and I felt like Oleg would get beat by Vitor. I felt like everybody that beat Tank would. I mean,
That's a good
Scott
point.
Ferozzo beat Tank, and Vitor crushed him. Like this was early MMA math for me.
So early MMA math was a little bit more reliable.
I think so.
It's a little bit more reliable than now. Yeah, that's a fair point.
I just thought it was going to be like Scott Ferozzo version 2. That fight again.
Like you thought it was going to go long.
I just thought Vitor would just handle him like he did with Ferozzo. Like I just thought it'd be a different level of speed.
Yeah, which that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
In fact, Ferozzo put up more of a fight.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because Ferozzo beat Tank.
MMA math is
MMA
working.
math, buddy. Look, the origination of MMA math is kind of trustworthy.
That's wild.
I'll take it.
It doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't work at all anymore, but
Nope.
back then, at least it worked a little bit. All right, let's start with our first fight, shall we? The first fight of the night was, so the way this card was set up was the same as last week, UFC 12. There's a lightweight bracket and a heavyweight bracket, which I like. I prefer it this way. The way the guys are fighting less, we only have 2 fights in a night instead of potentially 4. Right, early on we had to fight to get on.
We get
and
these
then you
guys
had
in the
3.
finals that are just completely beat already.
Just dead to the world. So this is a better way of doing it. So our first fight of the night was actually Guy Metzger taking on Christoph Lineker, I believe.
Let me just talk for a second about
Please.
that guy's neck. Did you pay attention to his neck at the end of that fight when he took his gi off?
What Christoph?
Yes.
Okay, time out. I was literally going to say something.
Oh my god.
Okay, Matt and I did not watch this event together.
We didn't.
So I'm so glad. I was literally, I swear to God, like you should look at my notes. I literally had a note.
That is the most jacked neck I've ever seen.
Okay, so Christoph looks, so he's wearing a gi. He's wearing a blue gi the entire time.
And he walks out with like a towel on his shoulder. So you never saw this.
So you never saw it. So even when he's fighting in there, he just has a gi on. You can't see his body whatsoever. His face is that of a 49-year-old. Okay,
You ain't lying.
He looks like he's 56, right? Going in the octagon, he looks old as can be.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to the oldest guy to ever fight in the UFC up to this point, probably ever. 49 was
Ron Van Cleef.
Ron Van Cleef, to be fair, black don't crack, but looked way younger than Christoph.
Absolutely.
Way younger than this
Yeah.
guy. This guy looked like a grandpa, dude. He looked so old.
Yeah.
At the end of that fight, he loses to Guy Metzger. Okay,
And
Guy Metzger, who this is kind of, it's like his half UFC debut. It's kind of like the guys who fought in the Contender Series, almost for me, where like when they're making their debut in the UFC, it's like it's not really your debut because you fought in the Contender Series. So Metzger fought on 2 UFC cards, I believe, but it was alternate bouts, so they were not televised, and he just fought the one time in an alternate bout.
Yeah, this is the first
So
televised
this is his
one for
first
him.
kind of televised fight.
Yep.
So it's kind of a debut, kind of not. But anyway, so Laniger loses to Metzger, and the only decision we have on the entire card. He tries to put up a fight, but you could tell Metzger was in control basically the entire time.
Yeah, but couldn't find a finish.
No, couldn't find a finish, and,
Yeah.
and rightfully, I mean, the Laniger guy is a BJJ dude. I mean, he's good. Or he's a judo guy.
Yeah, I think he was a judo
He's
guy.
kind of like the OG Dan Kelly almost, because he's a judo guy. He has the dad. Looked like he had a dad bod.
Till the gi came off.
That gi comes off. It looks like a Michelangelo statue. I mean, he is cut. What in the world is that
I don't
body?
even know what to say about his neck. Like,
It made no sense.
We thought Coleman was jacked.
I know. It's funny because I feel like the last couple episodes we've just been talking about physiques. I feel like Mac from It's Always Sunny. We're just talking about body mass.
It's so us.
But it's because we're entering this, like, I guess we're just entering the steroid era or something. I don't know.
I think so.
We just keep seeing dudes that
It
are
looks
just,
like it.
I mean, Brian Johnston, Ken Shamrock,
Even Bolander.
this guy, Jerry Bolander, like these guys are just like muscles on top of muscles.
They're so big.
Mark Coleman doesn't even look like a real person. You know what I mean?
He's a superhero. He's
Seriously.
a legit superhero.
He's not on this card, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean,
He makes Superman go drink a protein shake.
But Kristoff takes off his gi, and you're like, what in the world? Dude, but face is still the same. He still looks like he's 50. He's 62.
I didn't even know traps could be that shape.
I know.
He's got like horseshoes on his shoulders. It's the wildest thing.
But anyway, he loses.
I had to call Cody into the room and be like, yo, look at his neck.
Look at his neck. Oh, man. Okay, let's move on down. We have our another debut of Vincent Inoue.
Oh, Vincent Inoue, yeah. Yeah, dude, a true legend in the sport.
Yeah, taking on Royce Alger, and we're not mispronouncing that. He is American. Yep. It's not Hoist, it is Royce Alger.
Wrestler.
Iowa wrestler.
Yep.
He trained at Hammer House, so in his corner was Mark Coleman.
The one and only.
The one and only Mark Coleman. So that must be his gym, Hammer House.
Yeah, it is.
So I didn't know. That's his name on Twitter, and that was his nickname.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess it makes sense. But anyway, so that was in his corner. Really prototypical looking wrestler. Legit, immediately got the takedown. The problem was, so we're going to see, and we're already seeing it, and I know just from the basic understanding of history I have, we are entering the wrestling renaissance, where wrestling is going to rule the roost for quite some time.
This day, pretty much.
Well, it's going to dip, and then it's going to pop back up.
Yeah.
It's really going to get striking heavy, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it's going to pop back up to now we're kind of back in the wrestling renaissance, where these guys, a lot of these prospects coming up are really, really good wrestlers.
I still think that's the best base for any fighter today. Got to be a good wrestler first.
Yeah. So the problem is, especially this early on, you can't just be that. Like, you have to have at least some jiu-jitsu here, and you could tell that this guy didn't.
The only guy that really finishes fights with pure wrestling at this point is Mark, and that's just because he'll crank your neck.
But you
got to have some finishing stuff.
But even Mark was training at this time.
Sure, yeah.
Mark Schultz, right before he goes in, he was talking about, what got him in to even do MMA in the first place was rolling around with Hickson. So, this is one of those, like, you have to have at least some good, decent exposure. Mm-hmm. And even though he was training with Mark, I doubt he was there full time. You know what I mean? He just didn't have the exposure, and he admitted it in the interview prior to the fight. Well, sure enough, he's on the ground. He's typical wrestling. He's postured up. He's trying to land the ground and pound, and all of a sudden, boop, armbar. I mean,
and one of the nasty one too.
Yeah, I mean, Inoue is legit.
Yeah,
and I think had he continued, he would have gone up against Guy Metzger.
He goes belly down with that armbar, and I just felt like that arm was in serious danger.
Nothing
down there.
You could do about
it looked ugly.
Yeah, it looked like he really broke. Like he might have broke his arm.
Yeah, he did not look healthy. That arm did not look healthy after the fight.
But anyway, Vincent Inoue winds up having to pull out, and and comes Tito Ortiz in the finals.
The adrenaline dump killed him. I think
Inoue would have beat
Guy Metzger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
I absolutely.
If he's fresh, at least. But for some reason, man, he blew his wad.
He did.
He was completely gassed. Even in the interview with Rogan, he couldn't breathe.
It was only 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Yeah, he did not train cardio.
I think it was the post fight. It was the post fight celebration.
Had an adrenaline dump or something. What? It could have been all of it because he was done for.
How did Rogan do? By the way, in your opinion?
In my opinion, he's doing great.
Think he's doing great?
Yeah,
I think he's doing great too, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it. I really, really need him to take those stud earrings out, though. I need him to get those out of his ears immediately.
I'm sure he will one day.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Now,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He needs to get those studs out of his ears because they look bad. But to be fair, I had a gold stud earring when I got my ears pierced. In it would have been, I was in 5th or 6th grade or something. I had stud earrings.
I remember getting my ear pierced.
Yeah.
Oh man, good times.
Yeah.
Now they're all stretched
I only got
out.
the one ear. I got the one ear pierced.
I started with one.
I started with one, and so I just had a stud in, right? So I get it, Joe, because this would have been in that time period.
Oh, it's the 90s.
It would have been 98 or so, and this is 97. So yeah, this is that time period. So like, I get it.
Yeah.
But does not look good on Joe whatsoever. You know what also doesn't look good on Joe Rogan? Hair. For real. It looks weird.
Yeah,
it looks uncomfortable.
It's strange. He's like one of the only guys I think I can ever
just look
think
worse
of
with hair.
Better without hair.
Yeah, dude.
It's wild.
There's a couple. Jimmy Smith would look crazy with hair too.
Are we excited about Rogan and Evil Rogan commentating together?
Yeah. All right, cool. So going to the finals, we got Guy Metzger, then Tito Ortiz stepping in as the alternate to replace Vincent Inoue. I can never pronounce
It's
this
a
one.
weird one. It's like Inoue.
Inoue.
Yeah,
Inoue.
that's how
Vincent
Rogan pronounces
Inoue.
it, and they've been on the podcast with him. And Inoue is how I've
So you'll
always heard
take
it.
Really good English. I didn't know. I didn't know a lot about him other than the name. I know the name, but I can't say that I've ever like heard him talk before.
Have you seen his episode on Rogan's podcast? It's a
no.
great episode. You should check it out.
He has
sometime.
great English. I figured he would have a translator or something, but I was like, oh no, he sounds sounds like he might be
better
from,
than
like,
most of these other.
Well, he sounds like he
dudes.
might be from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Do we know?
I don't know. He might be.
Let me look. Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii. I was just gonna say, it's like he sounds like he's from Hawaii. I don't think he's Japanese or anything. He currently lives in Japan.
I think he is.
He was born in Hawaii, which makes sense. When was the last time he fought? The last time he fought was April 25th of 2010. He got a win. Got a win in this last fight.
When was his last Pride fight?
His last Pride fight was at Pride 19. It was a loss to Antonio Nogueira.
Which Antonio Nogueira? Does it say Rodrigo or Rogerio?
Yeah, it's Rodrigo.
Oh, that's Big Nog.
Yeah, it's Rodrigo. Why do they have the same name?
I don't know.
Aren't they brothers?
Yeah, they're twin brothers.
Why would you name especially twins?
They only have a different middle name. It's Antonio.
Well, and I wonder if
Rodrigo
they go
and
by their
Antonio
middle name.
Rogerio. They do.
You go by your middle name,
As
right?
far as I know, they go by their middle name.
Yeah, that must be what it is. I think it's Big Dog and Little Dog, even though they're related, even though they're twins. I mean.
They're pretty close to the same size anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Lil Nog did fight at 205 while Big Nog was a heavyweight, but they're really not that far off in size.
But they're twins for sure?
Mm-hmm. As far as I know, I think they're twins. I could be wrong. Be wrong. It's been a long time.
Weird.
Check it out.
He has a twin brother.
Yeah.
Yep. So it is twin.
You know, Big Nog was run over by a truck when he was a kid. That's why he's got that scar on his back.
Oh, okay.
He got run over by a big ass truck.
I like this. This is we have a little inserted Nogueira history here.
Yeah, dude. Those guys are legends.
That's it. That was the lightweight finals. Guy Metzger winds up beating Tito Ortiz. I mean, let's talk about the fight though.
Man, I really thought Tito was going to get him.
I really thought Tito was going to win, man.
Yeah.
And
he controlled the whole fight until he didn't control the fight.
But that's
anymore.
what happened. This was your prototypical got caught.
Yep.
Prototypical got caught.
Fell into a guillotine.
So what happens is the fight actually gets stopped for a minute for a cut because he's Tito Ortiz is kneeing Guy Metzger in the back of the head.
Think multiple.
Bro, he's
bleeding.
kneeing him in the back of the head, baby.
Yeah.
He's landing him. Tito looked like a baby. Seriously,
looked like a savage baby.
He did look like a savage baby, but nonetheless, he looked like a baby. But knee him in the back of the head. So Big John stopped the fight to clean the cuts up. They were accusing him of tapping, but if you watch it again, you can tell that
It didn't
tap.
really look very tappy to me in the replay.
No, it didn't look tappy.
Yeah.
I like that. So they restart the fight, and Tito kind of goes back to looking how he was looking. All of a sudden, dude,
And just shoots that double.
He
and
shoots in for a double,
left his neck out.
and gets his neck grabbed, and there it is. It's over.
Mesmer slaps on a guillotine. And
It's just that's one of those
pulls guard.
like you're gonna see that happen forever. I mean that is just one of those things.
if you make a mistake in 2018 still, you'll fall into a guillotine. Still get caught.
The best BJJ guys in the world can get subbed out on the feet. Yep. I mean, it's one of those things. You go to get a takedown or whatever, and there it is, done. You know, and you get guillotined. So that's what happened here. I think if you had this fight 10 times, I think Tito Ortiz is winning more than 50% of the time.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I think he's winning at least 60-40.
Yeah.
Probably closer to 70-30. You know, I think he looked fantastic.
He was
great.
controlling the whole fight. He just made a mistake.
And I look forward to seeing him in the future.
I think they're going to rematch too.
Really?
I believe so because I have these distinct memories of Tito weighing in with a black T-shirt with white letters that says "Gay Mesger is my bitch."
Gay Metzger.
Gay Mesger is my bitch.
I forgot that he that's like a thing that he does is wearing crazy T-shirts.
Mm-hmm. T-shirts to talk shit.
Okay, he fights Guy Metzger at UFC 19.
Yep, there you go. That's the one.
That's the one, baby.
That's their epic rematch. Tito looking for revenge.
Yeah, and the fight winds up lasting almost 10 minutes. So I won't tell you how it goes, but alrighty. Let's move on down to the heavyweight fights, shall we?
We shall.
The first fight of the heavyweight semifinals, you have Stephen Graham taking on Dmitry Stepanov, neither of which have Wikipedia pages. Stephen Graham looked relatively legit.
Was this the one where he slapped on that nasty key lock?
Yes.
Yeah. That was nasty.
But most importantly, What led to the key lock was a slam and a half.
Oh, man.
Just runs. Dude, it was one of those fights where, Big John's like, let's get it on. And Stephen Graham
starts the engine.
He
press the gas pedal.
Bolts at him, grabs a hold of him, lifts him into the air, spins him, slams him on the ground.
Probably the most violent takedown we've seen yet.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
He's lucky he didn't land on his head. He kind of rolled underneath and didn't.
That's a big dude.
It is,
too.
man. And Graham landed on top and just kind of stayed there and then eventually did a key lock.
Boy, was thick.
And that's how you know that you're not as strong, is when someone can take your arm and just by using their hands
just bend it away.
They're not using when you do a Kimura, you're kind of using your whole arm and you're getting your shoulder into
it's
it.
Position like the proper Kimura position. You put your leg over their head. You got all this leverage.
Yeah,
there's no leverage here. It's just
no,
like, give me
he's
that
just
arm. I'm
reaching
gonna bend
over.
it.
He's grabbing with two hands and just twisting your arm until you have to tap.
Yeah,
and that's what happened.
It's
and
ugly.
Really, not much to say. Graham looked pretty legit.
Yeah.
The problem is that gives him to the finals. And let's talk about the second fight because we have Randy Couture taking on Tony Halame, I believe is how they were pronouncing his name.
Something like that. Weird pronunciation.
He looked kind of legit. They were actually kind of talking him up prior.
They didn't know who Randy was, but Randy was clearly another level.
Halame winds up dying at age 47.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Oh, wow. On January 8th, 2010, 2 days after his 47th birthday, Halame died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Oh, shit. That's some possible CTE.
Yeah.
I hear there's a big correlation between CTE and, chemical imbalances in your
following
brain.
Halame's death, Jim Ross, who, famous commentator for
JR.
Because that's where he was, says, I won't speak at length about those that have passed away, but Tony obviously had issues and was not a great guy to be around. Perhaps others have a different view of this man, but I personally found him to be somewhat obnoxious, and he could be a bully if allowed to be such. Guys like Halame don't mix well in any locker room and need to be removed from the team sooner rather than later. I still feel badly about the last years of Tony's life. Things really unraveled for him, seemingly due to alcohol and drug issues. Jeez. That's saying a lot about after someone's dead, man. That's it's not super cool. But anyway.
Well, he must have not been a very nice guy legitimately for somebody to say something like that after you died.
Yeah, he sounds like he was an asshole. But he also, he was in a mental hospital in 2006 from suffering from delirium because of excessive alcohol use. He had also had cirrhosis and acute pancreatitis.
Some days the MMA Yesterday podcast can get dark looking backwards.
Right. He also had an issue with his heart. So sounds like he was just having a whole bunch of issues. Oh, and he in December of 29, which is very shortly before he commits suicide, said he was suffering from impairment of his short-term memory and had trouble remembering just about anything, but was still trying to write a book on his political career. He had a political career. What a weird dude. I'm just looking at. Oh wow. He said that Halame stated that the current president at the time when he was running of Finland was a lesbian. So he said, if a lesbian can be president, then so can anybody. So that's why he ran. That's why he ran for president.
Yeah, it's not great.
It was on the
buddy.
anti-gay agenda. So yeah, Halame was kind of a douche. But anyway, nevertheless, didn't matter because Randy Couture mopped the floor with him.
Oh yeah,
he looked fantastic. So here it is, man. Randy Couture has
the debut of a legend.
He hasn't just stumbled into the UFC. He has burst through the seams of the UFC.
Yeah.
And decisively beats Tony Halame, who was kind of being talked up and was definitely bigger.
In an era where there are very few guys that look like complete fighters.
Submits him in a minute, dude. Rear naked choke. With flawless technique.
And within that 1 minute, you look at this guy and you know this guy is ready for the Don Fries and the Mark Colemans and the Dan Severns and the Vitors. Like, this is the guy.
Because he's a wrestler. But look at what else he has. See,
boxing.
That's the point, man. He has the boxing, and he also obviously has a slick ground game because he took his back and slapped on that rear naked. It looked
33 years old making his debut.
That's what's so unfortunate. Because what I like about Vitor, we haven't even got to the Vitor fight yet. Vitor's 20 at this time.
I know.
That's why he's still around.
Makes me sick.
That's why he's still around.
You know what I was doing when I was 20? Wasn't winning world titles, buddy.
Yeah. When I was 20, yeah. Neither was I.
Yeah.
But yeah, Couture. So then we go on to the heavyweight finals, we have Randy Couture taking on Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham looked fantastic in his first fight. Not so much here. I mean, what are you going to do, dude?
Did not translate.
Couture just, again, fight starts off identical to Couture's first fight.
Yep.
Runs at him, double leg, boom.
Yep.
That's it.
So
End of day.
Randy knows what the hell he's doing.
Yep.
Randy hit the ground and never quit moving.
Nope. It's the double legs, man, are such an important part of this puzzle. I mean, guys with these really good double legs, especially then, but now it's the same, right? You got a good, intense double leg, boy, you can really dictate the pace. You can dictate
GSP is a great example. Probably the best power double ever. Him or Chael.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I always say about the wrestling guys. Like, this is why guys who are really, really, really good wrestlers, like legitimately, like Olympics, top of the heap in college, that sort of thing. Guys who are legitimately good wrestlers. It doesn't matter if they're going against someone who's a lot better than them. You can never count them out.
Yeah.
Because they can. A guy like Kyle Bochniak now, who isn't all that impressive, can beat anybody on any given day, because all he has to do is just really use that wrestling and just control everything, dictate the pace, control everything.
And that
take him
wrestling
down,
life just
stay
makes
there,
you
take him down,
tough.
stay there. Yeah.
And you're tough. You
Legit.
can weather a storm.
Yeah, legitimately. So, yeah, Couture, I mean, Stephen Graham looked fantastic in his first fight, and he just looked like a pedestrian here. I mean, what was he going to do? He had nothing to offer.
Yeah.
And Couture took it. So Couture winds up winning, in the heavyweight finals. Like I said, Guy Mesker wins the lightweight finals. However, our main heavyweight bout, which is also referred to as a super fight, which is for the belt, essentially, we have Mr. Tank Abbott, who is reigning at this point, and Vitor Belfort, or Victor Belfort, or just Vitor Belfort. I don't know if anybody said Belfort.
Or Victor Gracie.
Yeah, or Victor Grayson. Yeah.
Before this.
So
the man of many names.
Even Joe kept fluctuating.
Many names and no known weaknesses.
Right? What are his weaknesses at this point?
At this point, there are none.
There are none.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody is even close to being on his level.
Unless you're getting into like a neck length competition with that dude.
He's
going to beat you at everything else.
Listen, he beats the shit out of Tank.
Under a minute.
But what I love about Tank is he stands up and his face looks like he wasn't even in a fight.
Yeah.
Seriously. He had no blood.
Well, that's probably because
there's no redness. There's no swelling.
85% of Vitor's punches were to the back of the skull.
True that. Which is what was dazing him and keeping him from kind of getting up.
Yeah.
But, dude, even when at one point Vitor gets taken down, and when he stands up, I was like, that is an athletic specimen. Just the way that he stood up, you're like, holy shit. Like, he stands up in a matter of a half a second.
Yeah.
He's laying on his back, and all of a sudden he decides to stand up.
He goes from
doesn't even
Tank
use his
to standing
arms.
back
Doesn't
up
even use
so
his
quick.
arms and just stands up.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa. Like, that was something when I was in basic, when you would stand up from, if you're doing PT, you weren't allowed to use your hands to help you stand up. So when you would do sit-ups, you would have to basically press through your legs, and that's how you had to stand up. Because it was a rule that you couldn't use your hands.
My knees hate that idea.
Well, I mean, it gets you a lot stronger, I'll tell you that.
I bet.
But, I mean, that's basically what he does, but from his back. He basically just uses his body and just goes, whoop, like he's being pulled up by a string.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's just standing, and it's
just tease off.
You could just tell, man. You could tell that this guy, I don't know who in the world is going to beat Vitor. Like, I'm excited to continue to watch. Like, who is going to come along and beat this guy?
We missed something here.
Did we?
Yeah, we missed something. And you were looking out for it, and you forgot.
Oh,
and
shit.
I know you forgot because I just remembered because I forgot.
Shit.
This was the first card where we had a different ref.
Was it?
Yeah, remember?
I didn't even
there was
see.
Like one fight where some guy...
That was the alternate.
Yeah.
That was the Tito Ortiz fight.
Yeah.
See, again, it's because that wasn't supposed to be on the pay-per-view.
I mean, still though, I didn't know they were even using.
I didn't even know
an alternate ref for
the alternate bouts.
fights. I didn't
know that either. I wonder who it was.
Some cop or somebody. They said some guy with some training. I don't remember.
Okay, I got to go back and watch because I want to see who that was.
Yeah,
because that would be the only other ref to be on a pay-per-view at this point.
Yeah,
because it wasn't supposed to be on a pay-per-view, so that's why. Mm-hmm. But
that
very
happen,
cool.
Though. Yeah.
Ah, man, I missed it. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Because I was just so used to seeing Big John the whole night. And when they were doing that, showing that fight, I didn't even think about it.
It was a quick fight, too.
Yeah, because it was just an alternate fight. So I
Yeah.
just didn't even think about it. Wow. Good catch, man. Good catch. Thank you. What time are we on? Oh, okay. We got to wrap it up. Perfect. That was good timing.
Yeah.
We're almost at exactly half an hour. So let's look ahead to UFC 14. Again, aptly titled Showdown. Okay. Our debuts, Mark Kerr
Legend.
and Maurice Smith.
Legend. Hall of Famer.
Those are kind of our big. The super fight is between Mark Coleman and Maurice Smith. Anything else? That looks like the main two guys. Mark Kerr is another wrestler, so
Another guy to go to Pride
yep.
after this.
This is also in Alabama. Takes place in July, so kind of right after.
What city? Are we going back to Dothan?
Nope, we are going to Birmingham.
Sweet.
Birmingham. The method of victory for Mark Kerr in one of the bouts is chin to the eye.
Oh, I remember that.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, I have no idea.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
All right, I'm excited to watch that. So guys, next week, tune in to UFC 14.